Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. This time we're going deep into Proverbs 2.
Awesome.
Specifically, we had a listener write in and ask about the value of wisdom,
Right.
how Proverbs 2 talks about, why it's so important. And I got to say, getting into this chapter, there's like a lot more here than I expected. It's not just about being smart.
hmm
It really touches on some pretty intense stuff, like integrity and protection.
Right.
Even like hints at the dangers of not having wisdom.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think what's so interesting about this chapter, especially right off the bat, it's the pursuit of wisdom.
Yeah,
Like it's something that you have to actively seek out. It's not something that you just kind of, trip over.
that's a really good point, actually. Like I'm looking at the first few verses here, and it says, we need to listen, treasure, incline our ears. It's not like passive learning, is it?
No, not at all.
It's like you got to go out and get it.
Right, exactly. It even compares it to searching for silver, or like digging for treasure.
Yeah. Wow.
So it's like, what is it about wisdom that's so valuable that it warrants this kind of effort?
That is a great question. And you know what? I think verses 6 and 7 kind of give us a little bit of a clue
Okay.
because it really highlights, where real wisdom comes from, right?
Yeah.
It says that it comes from God.
Right.
And so it's not just about filling your head with facts, right?
No.
It's about tapping into like a divine source
Exactly.
of knowledge, understanding, and even like good judgment, which I think is interesting.
Yeah. So it's more than just like book smarts, right?
Yeah.
It's about internalizing these truths. So they shape who you are at your core, not just what you know.
Yeah. Okay. And then, I'm looking down here and it's talking about, how wisdom isn't just this like abstract idea.
Right.
And, it gives very concrete examples of, verses 7 through 9, and then again in verses 11 and 12. It highlights how wisdom acts like a shield.
Right.
Like it literally protects those who walk with integrity
Mm-hmm.
and guides them away from paths that would lead them to harm, which is interesting. That word paths comes up a lot.
Yeah.
Like, help me understand that. So is it like if I'm facing a really tough decision, wisdom will help me see which path is the one that's, aligned with integrity.
Exactly. Like, think about it. It's not just knowing what's right or wrong. It's about knowing how to make the right choice, even when it's difficult.
Right.
And wisdom allows you to kind of look ahead and see, like, what are the consequences of this decision, long term.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You know what? This actually gives me a whole new perspective on those verses that warn about the dangers of immorality. Specifically, it mentions the immoral woman in verses 16 through 19.
Right.
It's really easy to get caught up in like those specifics.
Yeah.
But if we're thinking about this in terms of paths, like we've been talking about, could this be another way of showing us like what are the potential consequences of picking the path that lacks wisdom?
That's a really insightful observation. And it kind of paints a picture of the opposite of what we've been talking about. It's like this is the danger of going down a path that leads you away from living a life of integrity.
Wow, that's really powerful. Okay, so, we've been talking about these paths. You've got the path of integrity, the path of wisdom, and then you've got these paths that lead to, bad places. But how do we find those good paths, those paths that lead to, a fulfilling life, a good life, virtuous living, those kind of things?
Well, Proverbs doesn't leave us hanging. If you jump ahead to verses 20 to 22, it kind of wraps it all up, right?
Okay.
It's talking about choosing that right path again. And it emphasizes the promise that if you live a life of integrity and righteousness, then you're going to dwell securely. You're going to have stability. You're going to have peace.
It all comes together, doesn't it? It's like this whole chapter, Proverbs 2, is a guide. It's not just about recognizing what wisdom is. It's about actually going out and looking for it, right?
Yes.
Searching for it, and then letting it shape our lives, our choices, even who we hang out with.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about knowing stuff. It's about letting that knowledge guide us to a life that has purpose and fulfillment.
Absolutely. And I think that's what I love so much about Proverbs too.
Yeah.
It shows us that wisdom isn't this like end goal, right?
Right.
Like you reach it and then you're done. It's a journey. It's constantly seeking, learning, growing.
Man, that's so good. So, I'm going to turn this back on our listeners. As you're thinking about your own life, Where do you feel like you need that wisdom the most right now?
Mm-hmm.
And, thinking back to the beginning, what are those treasures of wisdom that maybe you've been overlooking?
Yeah,
This whole chapter is an invitation. It's saying, hey, go out, keep looking, keep searching. There's some amazing things out there.
absolutely.
So go find them.
Great stuff.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.